The 66th session of the Senate, in the first regular session of the 16th Congress, is hereby called to order. The Senate President Pro Tempore, Senator Ralph G. Recto, will lead the chamber in prayer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let us bow our heads in the presence of the Lord. Dear God, we thank you for gathering us once again in this august chamber to seek and do your will. We are grateful that we remain in fellowship with you as one family, as an institution, and as a nation. Almighty Lord, please hear our prayers from the deepest concerns of our hearts. Only you have infinite knowledge of our hopes, struggles, and pains. Only you welcome us with open arms when we seek you, especially when we are weak, troubled, and humbled. Make us embrace truth so that we can stand strong, unperturbed, and unashamed. As your light shine on us, please show us mercy and accept our offering and sacrifice. Help us become effective leaders who are unrelenting in the pursuit of a better life for our people. We implore your help in keeping us focused on our commitment to the welfare of our people in the midst of challenges and distractions. Dear Father, you are our Savior and our refuge. We trust in you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Senator Recto. The Senate Choir will lead us in the singing of the Philippine National Anthem, after which they will render a song entitled Isang Dugo, Isang Lahi at Musika. The Senate Choir.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisip. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bugaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
wish to thank the Senate Choir for the rendition of the national anthem and the song Isang Dugo, Isang Lahi at Musika. The Secretary will please call the roll.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan Peter Compañero S., Cayetano P.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Hunasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Osmeña, Pimentel, Poe, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar. Senate President Trilon.
20 senators are present. The chair declares the presence of a quorum. The majority leader.
Magandang hapon, Mr. President, and as we welcome our colleagues back to the session, we also greet every single member of the Philippine media as we celebrated last May 3 the World Press Freedom Day. Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 63rd session, March 10, 2014, and the 65th session, March 12, 2014, and consider the same as approved.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion of the majority leader is approved. It's carried.
Mr. President, I move that we proceed with the reference of business.
Secretary will read the reference of business.
Bills on first reading. Senate number 2176 entitled An Act Designating the Month of November as Buy Pinoy, Build Pinoy Month to encourage the public and private sectors to prioritize the purchase and utilization of Filipino products, labor, and services by Senator Cynthia Villar.
Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship.
Senate number 2177, an act amending RA number 10086, otherwise known as an act strengthening people's nationalism through Philippine history by changing the nomenclature of the National Historical Institute into the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, strengthening its powers and function, and for other purpose by Senator Sani Angara.
Education, Arts, Culture.
Senate number 2178, an act making election service non-compulsory for public school teachers, authorizing the appointment of other qualified citizens, providing for compensation and other benefits, amending for the purpose the Omnibus Election Code, Republic Act number 6646, and other election laws by Senator Paulo Benigno Bamakino IV.
Electoral Reforms, People's Participation, Finance.
Senate number 2179, an act establishing the National Coastal Greenbelt Program, providing funds therefore and for other purposes by Senator Paulo Benigno Bamakino IV.
Environment and Natural Resources, Climate Change, Finance.
Resolutions, PS Resolution number 566 entitled Resolution Calling for an Investigation in Aid of Legislation on the Health Condition of Children in Evacuation Centers in Zamboanga City by Senator Maria Lourdes Nances Binay.
Health and Demography, Youth.
PS Resolution number 567 directing the proper Senate committees to investigate in aid of legislation the alleged delisting of Delphine Lee from the Philippine National Police Most Wanted Persons List and Warrant of Arrest database by Senator Maria Lourdes Nancy S. Binay.
Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs.
PS Resolution number 568 congratulating and commending Victoria Tauli Corpus for being named as United Nations Special Rapporteur on Indigenous Peoples' Rights by Senator Pimentel III.
Committee on Rules.
PS Resolution number 569 calling on the Commission on Audit to conduct a special audit of the Department of Agriculture's Organic Agriculture Fund, especially for the year 2012 by Senator Pimentel III.
Finance.
PS Resolution number 570 directing the appropriate Senate committees of the Philippine Senate to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the possible effects of the new labor policy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on the deployment of overseas Filipino workers to the said country with the end in view of enacting remedial measures to mitigate the impact of this new labor policy on the estimated 1.5 million OFWs working in the KSA by Senator Pimentel III.
Labor, Employment, Human Resource Development, Foreign Relations.
Yes, Resolution number 571 directing the Committee on Justice and Human Rights and other proper Senate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the alleged due process violations against the Davao journalist Alexander Alexis Adonis, with the end in view of reviewing our current laws on libel and of enacting measures that will strengthen our system of free legal services for indigent litigants and the probation and parole system by Senator Pimentel III.
Justice and Human Rights.
Yes, Resolution number 572 directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the 7 billion pesos real estate scam involving the Home Development Mutual Fund, HDMF or Pag-ibig, and Globo Asiatics Delphine Lee by Senator Joseph Victoria Ejercito.
Accountability of Public Officers and Investigation.
Yes, Resolution number 573 directing the appropriate Senate committees to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the failure of the bus companies to provide financial assistance to the victims of road accidents caused by the negligence of the bus drivers, operators, with the end view of reviewing the provisions of the Civil Code of the Philippines Transportation Law and other pertinent laws by Senator Paulo Benigno Bamakino IV.
Public Services.
PS Resolution number 574, directing the Blue Ribbon Committee to include in its ongoing probe into the pork barrel scam an inquiry on the expenses involving public funds in connection with the detention of Janet Lim Napoles by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Hold on.
Committee Accountability.
Saan lang? Huh? To the Committee on Accountability of Public Officers and Investigations.
PS Resolution number 575, directing the Blue Ribbon Committee to immediately summon as resource persons for the ongoing probe into the pork barrel scam Rodora Mendoza and Victor Roman Cacal, former officials of the National Agribusiness Corporation by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Accountability of Public Officers and Investigation.
PS Resolution number 576, directing the Senate Appropriate Committee to conduct an investigation on the infestation of coconut trees in the Calabar Zone by the coconut scaly insect or CSI, Aspidiotus destructor, and coconut leaf beetle, Brontispa longissima, and inquire on the measures being undertaken by the Philippine Coconut Authority to address the problem by Senator Sinchay Villar.
Agriculture and Food.
Yes, Resolution number 577, directing the Senate Committee on Ways and Means and other appropriate committees in the Senate to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the imposition of value-added and excise taxes on aviation fuel which may have adverse effects on tourism in the country and may have violated obligations by the Philippines to international air treaties and conventions by Senator Lapid.
Ways and Means.
Yes, Resolution number 578, directing the appropriate committees in the Senate to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the need to adopt measures to ensure the personal security and protection of members of the judiciary by Senator Lapid.
Justice and Human Rights.
Yes, Resolution number 579, directing the appropriate committees in the Senate to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation to determine the state of renewable energy sources in the country and the need to incentivize grid-scale energy storage of the same with the end in view of promoting effective and cost-effective commercial utilization of renewable energies by Senator Lapid.
Committee on Energy.
PS Resolution number 580, directing the proper Senate Committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported presence of antimony, arsenic, cadmium, chromium, lead, and mercury in local souvenir items for the purpose of establishing appropriate inspection mechanisms and safety standards for the manufacture and sale of souvenir items containing said chemicals by Senator Lapid.
Committee on Energy.
Health and Demography.
Sorry? Huh? Sorry. The chair made a mistake. It should be referred to the Committee on Health and Demography, Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship.
PS Resolution number 581, congratulating and commending businessman Mr. John L. Gokongwei Jr. for being honored with the 2014 Lifetime Achievement Luminary Award by Channel News Asia, introduced by Senator Lapid.
Committee on Rules.
Communication, letter from the Office of the President of the Philippines, transmitting to the Senate two original copies of Republic Act number 10635, entitled An Act Establishing the Maritime Industry Authority, Marinas, the single maritime administration responsible for the implementation and enforcement of the 1978 International Convention on Standards of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping for Seafarers as amended, and international agreements or covenants related thereto, which was signed by His Excellency President Benigno S. Aquino the 3rd on 13 March 2014.
To the archives. Before we proceed with the additional reference of business, the body may wish to consider putting on the floor bills for the third reading. Mr.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 353 under Committee Report number 20. This is the bill that seeks free mobile disaster alerts, Mr. President.
The motion is in order. Consideration of proposed of House Bill number 353 on third reading is in order.
Mr. President, copies of House Bill number 353 in its final form have been distributed to all senators last Thursday. Mr. President, to all senators last Tuesday, on the Tuesday, which was March 11, 2014, thereby more than complying with the 3-day rule found under Article 6, Section 26, Paragraph 2 of the 1987 Constitution, I move that we vote on third reading for the approval of House Bill number 353.
The Secretary will conduct a roll call vote.
Roll call vote on House number 353, entitled An Act Mandating the Telecommunications Service Providers to send free mobile alerts in the event of natural and man-made disasters and calamities. The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan Peter Compañero S., Cayetano Pia S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Onasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar. Senate President Trilon.
20 affirmative votes, no negative vote, no abstention. House Bill number 353 is hereby approved on third reading.
Thank you,
Majority
Mr.
Leader.
President. Mr. President, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 3187 under Committee Report number 21. This is the bill on Cotabato Light and Power Company, Mr. President.
Any objection, hearing none, consideration of the measure on third reading is in order.
Mr. President, copies of House Bill number 3187, its final form, has been distributed on March 11, 2014, thereby more than complying with the 3-day rule found on Article 6, Section 26, Paragraph 2 of the 1987 Constitution. I move that we vote on third reading for the approval of the House Bill.
The Secretary will conduct a roll call vote on House Bill 353. Sorry. On House Bill number 3187.
Roll call vote on House number 3187, entitled An Act Granting Cotabato Light and Power Company a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain a distribution system for the conveyance of electric power to the end users in the city of Cotabato and portions of the municipalities of Datu, Odin Sinsuat, and Sultan Kudarat, both in the province of Maguindanao. The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan Peter Compañero S., Cayetano P.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Onasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar. Senate President Trilon.
20 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill number 3187 is approved on third reading.
Mr.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, before I move to consider additional reference of business, may we please welcome to the Senate teachers from the Juliana Luna Elementary School of Barangay Santa Cruz, Rosario, Batangas.
The teachers from the
Julian D. Luna Elementary School.
D. Luna Elementary School is welcome to the Senate, and their presence is made of record.
Mr. President, we also have the honor of having some distinguished guests. Senator Kenji Kosaka, JPPFL President, member of the House of Councilors, Liberal Democratic Party of the LDP. Senator Takeshi Maeda, JPPFL Vice President, member of the House of Councilors, Democratic Party of Japan, DPJ. We have Congressman Bakata, House of Representatives. He's also a member of the Democratic Party of Japan, DPJ. And also Congressman Taku Otsuka, JPPFL Secretary General, member of the House of Representatives of the Liberal Democratic Party of the LDP.
The presence of the chairman of the Japan-Philippine Parliamentary Friendship League, Kenji Kosaka, member of the House of Councilors of Japan, and the other members of the delegation, the Honorable Takeshi Maeda, the Honorable Yokio Obakata, and the Honorable Taku Utsoka, are made of record in the Senate, and we welcome them in this afternoon session.
Thank you, Mr. President. They are accompanied by His Excellency, the Ambassador of Japan to the Philippines, Ambassador Toshinao Urabe. Sir President, may I ask for a 2-minute suspension for the members to be able to fellowship with our counterparts from the legislature of
Session
Japan?
is suspended for 2 minutes.
Mr. President.
Session is resumed. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we take up the additional reference of business.
Secretary will read the additional reference of business.
Additional reference of business, bills on first reading, Senate Bill number 2180, an act revitalizing the procedure for acquisition of right-of-way, site, or location for national government infrastructure projects, thereby repealing for such purpose Republic Act Number 8974, otherwise known as an act to facilitate the acquisition of right-of-way, site, or location for national government infrastructure projects, and appropriating funds therefore, introduced by Senator Lapid.
Justice and Human Rights, Public Works, Ways and Means, Finance.
2181, an act according equal rights to wives and husbands in the Philippines by amending Articles 333, 334, and 344 of the revised Penal Code, introduced by Senator Cynthia A. Villar.
Women, Family Relations, and Gender Equality.
2182, an act prohibiting the imposition of corporal punishment on children, amending for the purpose Republic Act Number 7610 as amended, otherwise known as Special Protection of Children Against Child Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act, providing penalties therefore and for other purposes, by Senator Cynthia A. Villar.
Committees on Youth, Women, Family Relations, and Gender Equality.
Senate Bill Number 2183, an act granting parental bereavement leaves to parents in the event of death of a son or daughter, by Senator Lapid.
Committee on Civil Service, Government Organization, Labor, Employment, Human Resources Development, and Finance.
2184, an act providing for the development and promotion of farm tourism in the Philippines and for other purposes, by Senator Lapid.
Agriculture and Food, Tourism, Ways and Means.
2185, an act allowing women to revert to their maiden surname, establishing a procedure for reversion and appropriating funds therefore, by Senator Lapid.
Women, Family Relations, Gender Equality, Finance.
2186, an act setting a uniform period for the redemption of family homes sold at foreclosure sales, execution sales, and other forced sales, and for other purposes, by Senator Marcos Jr.
Women, Family Relations, Gender Equality, Urban Planning, Housing, and Resettlement.
2187, an act repealing Article 351 of Act Number 3815, otherwise known as the revised Penal Code, by Senator Cynthia A. Villar.
Women, Family Relations, Gender Equality.
2188, an act mandating the completion of the land acquisition and distribution component of the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program by June 30, 2016, pursuant to Republic Act Number 6757, otherwise known as the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law, as amended by Senator Hunasan II.
Agrarian Reform.
2189, an act granting benefits and privileges to former presidents and vice presidents of the Philippines or their surviving spouse, amending for the purpose Republic Act Number 5059, repealing Republic Act Number 2087, and for other purposes, by Senator Trillanes IV.
Committees on Constitutional Amendments, Revision of Codes, Ways and Means, Finance.
Resolutions, proposed Senate Resolution Number 582, directing this proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the report from the Department of Health of the increase in the number of Filipinos dying from tuberculosis daily despite the implementation of government programs aimed in preventing the spread and curing the disease, by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Health and Demography.
583, directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported prevalence of child labor in the province of Bohol, by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Labor, Employment, Human Resource Development, Youth.
584, directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported high levels of mercury vapors detected in dental school stores and institutions in the country, according to a study conducted by environmentalist group Ban Toxics, by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Health and Demography.
585, directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported need to intensify the drive to go after gun registration fixers and the Philippine National Police, by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Public Order and Dangerous Drugs.
586, directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported danger caused by the upsurge of mosquitoes in communities, by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Health and Demography, Local Government.
587, directing the Committee on Local Government to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the allegation that FINMA Property Holdings Corporation has developed a condominium complex in violation of several Philippine laws, by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Urban Planning, Housing, and Resettlement.
588, directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported distribution of worm-infested, spoiled, and rotten food aid to survivors of Typhoon Yolanda and Tacloban City, by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Social Justice, Welfare, and Rural Development.
589, directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported prevalent use of trophies and medals contaminated with lead by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Health and Demography.
590, directing the Blue Ribbon Committee to immediately include in its ongoing hearing on the pork barrel scam the findings of the Commission on Audit that pork barrel funds coursed through the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos went to the non-government organizations, reportedly linked to Janet Lim Napoles by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Accountability of Public Officers and Investigation.
591, directing the appropriate committees in the Senate to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the registration and renewal process as well as the issuance of certificates of public convenience to vehicles by the Land Transportation Office with the end in view of addressing the proliferation of smoke belching and dilapidated vehicles to ensure safer and environmentally friendly thoroughways for the general public by Senator Lapid.
Public Services.
592, directing the Senate Committee on Local Government, Committee on Tourism to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on local government's units' imposition of fees for the operation of tourism establishments and the engagement of tourism workers by Senator Lapid.
Local Government Tourism.
593, directing the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and the Committee on Youth and such other appropriate Senate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into government policies and actions that address the reported abuse of solvents and other forms of addictive substances by street children, especially those who inhale rugby in plain sight and broad daylight with the end in view of expanding existing laws that aim to protect the nation's youth from the ill effects of this social malady by Senator Lapid.
Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and Youth.
594, directing the Senate Committee on Public Services to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into recurring flight delays and cancellations committed by local airlines, with the end in view of crafting policies that will protect the public from the inconvenience and any added expense brought about by these occurrences by Senator Lapid.
Public Services.
595, directing the Senate Committee on Local Government and Committee on Environment and Natural Resources to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the proliferation of mining through the issuance by local government units of small-scale mining permits and similar permits, which have on several instances countenanced the conduct of prohibited mining activities by Senator Lapid.
Environment and Natural Resources and Local Government.
596, directing the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources and other appropriate Senate committees to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the illegal trade of Philippine cobras with the end in view of protecting this endangered species by Senator Lapid.
Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, Agriculture and Food.
597, directing the Committee on Environment, Natural Resources, and other appropriate Senate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the proliferation of underwater activities which involve chemical etching on coral plates to the detriment of our marine ecosystem by Senator Lapid.
Environment and Natural Resources, Agriculture and Food.
598, resolution congratulating and commending the People's Champ and Sarangani Congressman Manny Pacman Pacquiao for winning back the World Boxing Organization welterweight title against American boxer Timothy Bradley at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada on USA on 12 April 2014 by Senator Lapid.
Rules.
599, commending 4 female rookie members of the National Capital Region Police, Regional Public Safety Battalion of Philippine National Police, and recognizing their acts of bravery in the midst of the robbery and shootout on 30 March 2014 at the Mall of Asia, Pasay City by Senator Trillanes IV.
Rules.
600, directing the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and other appropriate committees of the Senate to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the alleged inefficiency and impracticality of centralized gun licensing procedures of the Philippine National Police and to revisit the provisions of Republic Act No. 10591, otherwise known as the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act, and its implementing rules and regulations, with the end in view of determining and strengthening the capability of the PNP and enforcing the provisions thereof by Senator Trillanes IV.
Public Order and Dangerous Drugs. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, may we now recognize the resilient Senator Lauren Legarda, to deliver a privileged speech, Mr. President.
On the privilege hour, Senator Loren Legarda is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We are celebrating Ocean Month, and being the first day of session, as we celebrate May as a month of the oceans, Mr. President, I wish to present this 8-minute marine biodiversity video documentary as my privilege speech. I know that this is quite untraditional and an unorthodox way of delivering a privilege speech. However, I believe that this could further convince and move and encourage all of us to protect our beautiful and bountiful marine life. And I hope that our colleagues will be able to help us protect the oceans, the rivers, the seas that surround our archipelagic nation. Thank you, Mr. President. May I request that the lights be closed so that the 8-minute documentary can be heard and seen. Thank you. 8 minutes lang, huwag kayo aalis. Beneath these blue waters that cradle the islands of the Philippines lies the world's richest marine ecosystem. Vast coral reefs, seagrass beds, and dense mangroves, bursting with color and life, line the coasts and depths of its islands. It is nestled in the so-called Coral Triangle, which is home to more than 3/4 of the world's coral species and over 2,000 marine plants and animals. The natural abundance of the seas benefits more than half of the country's 98 million citizens, mostly farmers and fisherfolk living on coastal lands. Our enchanting islands are among the world's top tourist destinations. Their pristine white sand and crystal clear waters attract thousands of tourists each year. Reefs nurture life in the sea. They are natural habitats for thousands of marine species. A square kilometer of healthy coral reef may yield to about 30 tons of fish every year. Reefs are intricately linked to mangrove forests, seagrass beds, and countless other ecosystems. Nature has truly blessed us with rich marine resources, but these natural treasures are not forever bountiful, and the risk of losing them pervades through human abuse, neglect, apathy, and inaction. In the past 30 years, our coastal ecosystems have significantly declined. Now, 70% of our mangroves are damaged. 20% of our seagrass are destroyed. Nearly 90% of coral reefs are endangered. Only 1% of these underwater rainforests remain pristine. It would take many years for these corals to form, grow, and flourish anew. And the mass of fish species in our coasts has dwindled to 1/10 since the 1940s. Overfishing, destructive fishing, urbanization, and pollution. All these degrade our marine ecosystems. Unpredictable weather extremes brought about by climate change threaten even more marine biodiversity as they destroy the coral reefs. To destroy coral reefs is to endanger the entire marine life. For us, its destruction affects the livelihood of our coastal communities, our food supply, our tourism, and our economy. We need our seas to live. In the 1970s, dynamite and cyanide fishing were common in Apo Island in Negros Oriental. As coral habitats were destroyed, their fish dwindled, and the community risked losing their very source of food and income. It was a turning point for the people of Apo Island. In 1982, the town adopted a marine conservation program that stopped these unsustainable fishing ways.
The intervention there was a small fish sanctuary. At the time, it was about 6 hectares. And it was a way of focusing the people to the fact that they should start looking at the sea as a limited resource, not an open resource.
Our main objective was to help deploy coral modules. These are artificial structures made of natural dead coral so that you can actually encourage new growth. And these were deployed inside the no-take zone marine sanctuary. The main goal there is first to help provide habitats for the fishes who used to live in living coral. It's also to stabilize the rubble, wherein you are encouraging new growth without being damaged again.
Parts of the island were made into a marine sanctuary, where locals took turns to guard the coasts from any fishing. Mangrove reforestation, fisheries management, and the establishment of a marine protected area. Vigilance, close monitoring, and intervention from the government and local folks are needed to stop persistent illegal fishing and unregulated shipping.
The fisherman itself, para mga bantay dagat lahat eh. While they go fishing, they are also watching their resources, their territory, that no other fishermen or illegal fishermen that will fish and destroy their resources.
After 3 years, the sanctuary and its neighboring areas steadily produced more fish.
Sa umpisa, parang hindi pa masyadong na-influence yung mga tao. Importante na mag-patrol kayo. Kasi para makita ng mga tao, gusto mong ipakita yung benefits, yung benepisyo ng mga tao. But in this kind of program, it takes time to get the benefits. 5 years, 7 years.
Through discipline and cooperation in the community, the marine ecosystem fully recovered after 10 years. The long and difficult path to recovery has led to favor and apply more sustainable ways of fishing.
I think Apo Island has become a model for marine reserves, not only in the Philippines but also around the world. I think we are very proud of that, and we are continually trying to get more information so that we can improve the management of our fisheries through marine reserves.
This means that, even if part of Apo has been damaged, especially the historical marine sanctuary, where everything started in conservation of the marine resources in the Philippines, there's still hope.
They now embrace the much-needed balance in harnessing marine resources and protecting the ecosystems. Similarly, many other coastal communities across the Philippines face the daunting challenge of sustaining their marine resources amid the demands of a modern society and the risk spawned by urbanization and industrialization. We can only become worthy stewards of these natural treasures if we uphold and follow the environmental laws to protect our seas and act now to save our marine ecosystems from its current decline. Nature's inherent capacity for giving life always inspires and brings hope. We too can inspire to nurture life in our seas. Save our marine life now and sustain our children's life today and tomorrow.
President, I ask that we recognize Senator Pimentel.
Senator Pimentel is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to congratulate the speaker in quotes for the very novel, privileged speech she has just delivered. I think it's acceptable, Mr. President, because she was the one actually narrating in the video. And may we ask for a copy of the said video? And if this is the copy, thank you very much,
Yes.
Senator Legarda, for this copy.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your kind words. Yes, as I mentioned, it could be a non-traditional and unorthodox way of presenting a privileged speech, but what could be better than actually showing underwater marine life? And let me just state that while I did not dive myself and shoot the underwater marine life in different parts of the country, these were given to us by underwater videographers. However, the script and the research was done by this representation and my office, and no less than the Cannes Best Director, Brillante Mendoza, did the editing pro bono, Mr. President. And so I thought that this would be my little gift to this chamber, Mr. President, as we open the month of the oceans.
So, Mr. President, can we say that the thesis of the presentation is that we have to preserve, maintain our ecosystem so as to preserve our marine biodiversity? Is that the thesis of the 8-minute video presentation?
Very clear, Mr. President, because we know it is not just for enthusiasts or divers or even just for tourism. While tourism provides jobs and livelihood, it is also the daily take of our fisher folk. Being an archipelagic nation, we know that our coastal barangays, coastal towns, municipalities all over the country thrive on our marine ecosystem and the fisheries sector. And I understand that the chairman of the Agriculture Committee will also sponsor tomorrow amendments to the Fisheries Code, Mr. President, so it's very timely. Yes, there's a need to maintain, conserve, protect, and sustain the remaining marine life in our country, Mr. President. We are at the center of biodiversity in the world. The Verde Island Passage, which is composed of the coastal areas in the provinces of Batangas, Mindoro, Romblon, and Marinduque, is considered as the center, a coral triangle, and the center of biodiversity in the world, not just in Asia. And so it is incumbent upon us to care for this marine ecosystem, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President, and I agree with such a thesis statement from the video presentation. But such an idea can be extended actually to the entire ecosystem, not only to preserve our marine biodiversity, but actually to enhance human life at the present, and to preserve and to make sure that the quality of life of future generation of Filipinos would not be worse than what we have right now.
That's exactly what this means, Mr. President, that the preservation of our marine ecosystem would lead to enhancing human life, in your very own words. Tatagalogin ko po, kung di po natin pangalagaan ang ating pinagkukunan ng ating mga kinakain gaya ng mga isda, ay gutom po ang ating dadatnan. At lalo na po sa hagupit ng mga pagbabago ng klima at ng panahon, lalo po tayong magugutom kung hindi natin tutulungan ang pag-conserve at preserve ng ating likas yaman, lalo na po sa ating karagatan.
Tama po yun. And you made a statement there which struck me, and you said that we need our seas to live. We need our seas to live. Is that, I think
yes,
you
Mr.
said these words,
President.
no? And we can actually replace the word seas with rivers, lakes,
Kasama po
our
yun.
yes. Even our forests, our mountains, etc.
Yes. That encompasses, in fact, I am working now on a similar documentary, this time on our forests, Mr. President, and the remaining protected areas that we have.
And if I remember correctly, Mr. President, you identified four reasons, four factors which degrade our ecosystem, and that's overfishing, destructive fishing, urbanization, pollution. So the last two, urbanization and pollution, are factors which degrade our ecosystem, not only the water or the sea.
Even terrestrial.
Yeah, even
Yes.
terrestrial. So
Yes,
so
Mr.
I think, Mr. President, that these two factors, the urbanization and pollution, must be addressed or must be given sufficient attention, so that because they affect not only the water systems.
Yes, Mr. President. We actually saw how plastics were found underwater by these divers who shot for us. We actually see how the coral reefs can be destroyed and degraded by man-made abuse. And so all we need is to actually follow our laws, which are already in place, and to be able to maintain what is left of our coral reefs. But there are many positive developments here, Mr. President. The DOST has the Coral Restoration Program. They are doing it in various parts of the country, including, I think, in your region, Camiguin, which will cover Cagayan de Oro, Misamis Oriental. I believe that they're also doing it in parts of Antique. They're also doing some programs in Anilao. But one department of government can't do it alone. And while we are arresting or stopping the further degradation, I believe that it is humankind, or it is the 100 million Filipinos who should do it collectively.
So it is clear, Mr. President, that coral reefs can be destroyed by human activities, but they can also be restored. That's
Tama po yan.
okay.
Ang paggamit po sa restoration, iba-ibang mga scientific...
Meron akong question po dyan, kasi nung ako'y lumalaki, alam ko noon na ginagamit gulong. Ngayon, alam ko nagbago na yata ang theory rito, so can you please educate us if this is still a valid material to use in coral reef restoration?
Actually, some are still using tires. Tama po kayo na nung bata tayo, nung nagsimula din ako nito, we did this in Asugbu long time ago in a group called Save Our Seas, and we used tires through, that was maybe 30 years ago.
Mukhang, ang latest yata, mukhang dinidiscourage na po yata yan.
The others use cement. I don't know if it's a special kind of cement. The others, what the OST is doing actually is, naghahanap po sila ng mga corals na naputol dahil sa natural flow ng storm surge o ng waves. Pag yung mga coral na yan ay mahanap po sa ibang lugar ng ating karagatan, ay dinidikit po nila sa isang espesyal na pamamaraan, hindi ko alam kung epoxy, hindi naman siguro, na dinidikit sa mga coral na patay o coral na bungi-bungi. So they call it a coral restoration program, where they actually look for the corals which are strewn, S-T-R-E-W-N, strewn in different parts of the seas, and they put it together, yung mga bali. So it's a natural regeneration.
Pero ma'am, ang gusto ko po malaman, ano yung latest word on the use of tires as material for coral restoration? Is this a correct way of doing this, or it worsens the situation? Kung alam niyo lang po, ano bang latest po dito?
I know it's been done many times, and some groups still do tires. In fact, they sink different things. Meron mga culverts, cement culverts, yung mga the extra pieces of cement from construction sites. I know that there are many ways of doing it. I am not certain if the use of tires would have been disastrous or would have improved, but I would say that in those areas where tires were utilized maybe 2 decades ago, corals grew. Corals grew.
Kasi, the reason I am asking this is that I'm active in socio-civic organizations, JCs, Rotary, and sometimes we engage in this type of activity, the coral reef restoration. So if we could educate them on what materials to use and what materials to avoid. Kung,
That's a good question. Perhaps it would be the DOST or the DNR under the, maybe the DOST, the scientists would be in a best position to say what is the best kind of coral restoration. But I would think that the use of existing corals which are found in our seabed would be the best, because that would be really corals. Yes.
natural.
However, in the absence of such fragments of corals, we may use tires or cement and other materials which are not from nature, but which have generated coral reefs also.
You also mentioned, Madam Senator, in your speech that the natural abundance of our seas or the attractiveness of our archipelago attract thousands of tourists.
In fact, I correct myself, millions of tourists.
Yes, yun na nga. My question is, do you want the thousands to be millions, but then at the same time, will not making it millions now destroy now the ecosystem itself?
That's true. I know that there are areas of our country where the marine life has been conserved, and that's Anilao in Batangas, I believe, and in Boracay, for example, the divers who tell me it's like a cemetery. It's almost empty and gray. Kaya po may ginaganap din doon ng mga coral restoration programs.
Kaya nga po, so meron po tayong estratehiya na kahit na mag-imbita tayo, i-promote natin ang ating bansa at milyong-milyon turista ang dumating rito, hindi po kayo nangangamba o natatakot that this will now lead to the further degradation of our ecosystem because of pollution or this is by analogy urbanization because of the influx of people,
On the
or
other
it
hand,
can be done.
Well, thank you for that question, which is actually double-bladed. When there's an influx of millions of tourists, Mr. President, we just have to tell them that when you're in our boundaries, in our shores, you must comply with our laws, and there must be effective and efficient implementation of our laws. However, it could also be an inspiration for us to make sure that our forests, our seas, our environment is protected, because anong klaseng turismo ang ating kita sa kanila kung kalbo ang ating kabundukan o kung kalbo din ang ating karagatan o madumi ang ating mga ilog o ang ating linalanghap na hangin ay mabaho at madumi. Kaya ang pagpunta po, ang pagdagsa po ng ating mga milyon-milyong mga turista na gusto natin palawakin gaya ng ibang ating mga bansa sa Asia ay magiging inspirasyon para sundin po natin ang ating mga batas ng kalikasan.
And Madam Speaker, do you believe that this concept of ecotourism is actually possible?
It's possible, it's being done, and I believe in it, Mr. President.
So, with this, maybe we should encourage the Department of Tourism that it's more fun in the Philippines if it's ecotourism.
Yes, I believe I'm sure that the very creative and efficient Secretary Jimenez is already doing this, and if not, yes, we would encourage them to do that. Not only ecotourism, but also perhaps heritage and cultural tourism, which will be the subject of another speech later on. Yes. I believe there's so much in our natural environment that can actually entice tourists, even domestic tourism. There's so much in our culture and heritage that we must also protect. And in fact, our environment is part of our heritage and our culture.
Ma'am, may we know where this model LGU is, this Apo Island, so that for those of us interested in
That's
personally
Negros Oriental.
Negros Oriental,
Yes,
Apo
Negros.
Island, is it itself a local government, the Apo?
That
Apo?
is part of Negros Oriental.
But
Apo
what municipality
Island,
po?
I believe it's a municipality.
By,
Yes.
by itself?
If
Apo?
I'm not mistaken, it is a declared heritage site.
But it's an...
Declared bang Apo? Heritage site? Not yet. You check?
But,
Apo Island has been made a laboratory, Mr. President, as seen in the Greenpeace video. I am not certain whether it's already a declared site, but the corals have returned and have resuscitated.
but now we know it is in Negros Oriental.
Negros Oriental, Mr. President.
So when we find ourselves in Dumaguete, we can now make a side trip to Apo Island.
Yes,
So,
I think you should dive or
So
snorkel.
Okay,
Yeah.
snorkeling. Okay, kasi kung diving, ma'am, we need to take lessons
Yes.
before we can
Or
appreciate.
snorkel. And I'm sure our friends in Silliman University will be able to help us.
So, ma'am, thank you very much for your very enlightening, unorthodox but very enlightening speech.
I thank
Thank
the
you
good.
for the copy also.
I thank the good number one bar top notcher, Mr. President. He reminds me of his father, Senator Nene Pimentel, who was always there ready to support our environmental advocacies. Thank you, Senator Pimentel.
Majority Leader.
Ano?
Mr. President, may I ask for a minute suspension?
Suspended for 1 minute.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Sessions resumed.
Mr. President, I move that we refer the privileged speech via the video, the interpellations, and the response of the Honorable Senator Legarda to the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources.
So referred.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Tuesday, May 6, 2014.
Session is adjourned until 3 p.m. of Tuesday, 6th of May 2014.